can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet.
Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers.
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Hey, greetings all across this great land of ours and around the world. It's that time for the Conservative Syndicate, coming to you once again live coast to coast and around the world, nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we are loaded for bear this Monday. We've had the weekend to listen to or begin to hear the reverberation of the Brexit vote last week, and how the global elitists are preparing their damage control operations right now. Out there trying to, do their best to,
Yeah! Britain's a national country again! Yay! Oh, sorry, John.
Well, you get my drift, folks. I get my drift here. Once again, the experts were dumbfounded.
They still are.
Still haven't figured out what the underlying message behind this vote is. They still think it's about the economy, stupid. And even though there is some reverberation and there is some paranoia, they've successfully got some people over there to go, wait a minute, what did we do? This guy is falling or maybe falling or, that kind of thing. But it is what it is. And once things start to calm down, people, I think, will be satisfied with their decision to do what they did. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that today, probably at the bottom of the hour. Bob Cardoso from Robert Cardoso Live will be with us, and we're going to talk about some of the responses. Not some of the responses, a couple of responses from some of the elitist globalist types, George Soros in particular, and Alan Greenspan, former chairman of the Fed, because there's a couple of things I want you to really understand and listen to regarding people like these two. And this is the establishment. We're going to be talking about how the establishment thinks and how they respond to situations like this. And you'll have a better idea of what we talk about when we talk about the establishment. It's very important for you to understand this because that is what is standing on the horizon here in the United States. Is the establishment going to continue through Hillary Clinton, or are they going to have to reform and come at the world a different way should Donald Trump end up winning the White House? It remains to be seen. Not that I'm sitting here saying that Trump is anti-establishment. I don't mean that by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just talking about how the approach of the establishment will be. With Hillary Clinton, it'll be business as usual. With Donald Trump, it'll be, we got to come at this from a different angle. And it'll be very much like some of the things that we're going to see here in the Brexit fallout will be in some way applied here in the United States should Donald Trump end up winning the White House. So anyway, how are you doing today, Joe?
I'm just doing fine, John. It's another Monday, and I survived it. It's great, Get up in the morning, put on my shoes, drag the comb through my hair. But, I survived it, made it through. We're coming up on our Independence Day holiday next week, people, next Monday.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Every nation in the world has a July 4th, but we celebrate our independence on that day.
Yeah, and we're going to have a really special show for you on the 4th of July. I've lined up a couple of songwriters, recording artists, Jordan Page and Matt Fitzgibbons, people who write, most of their music is geared toward patriotism in this country. And I've had Jordan Page on the show before. You may have remembered if you listened to us a few months ago. He is the guy who composed the campaign song for Ron Paul back in 2012 when Ron Paul was seeking the presidency.
Ron who?
Yeah, it seems like such a long time ago, does it not? And in fact, is he even still alive? It's kind of like, you got to ask that question. The guy,
What happened to that guy?
yeah, he's like a day older than dirt, But
I know what he's doing. He's doing little commercials to say, hey, call up this number and I'll tell you how the world's going to come to an economic end.
Oh, yeah, I know. I still see links to his stuff out there on the internet sometimes. And I think he's still calling for the audit of the Fed, that kind of thing.
I, too. Yeah, sure. Sounds like a great idea to me.
Yeah.
But we might have to get a couple other people and all that couple little buildings over in Washington, D.C. to agree to that one.
Yeah.
And you know what? They'd find out that maybe their name's on some documents or something. So
yeah. Well, I'm reading a book right now called Reckless Endangerment. And it's a book on it was written in I believe it was 2012, I believe, 2011, 2012. And it's dealing with the subprime mortgage meltdown.
Uh-huh.
And very informative book. The guy who wrote this thing just really, he starts the book out by listing the names of the people that he's going to be talking about that were involved in the orchestration of this meltdown, and that in and of itself takes almost 3 pages. Just listing the names of the establishment types that were involved in this thing, from Wall Street and the mortgage market and the real estate industry, and of course Congress. And the list
politicians?
the list is long, and just a very informative book. And the Fed, believe it or not, played a major role in this. That's why I want to address the thing. Yeah.
Hey, not that Alan Greenspan guy.
Yeah. So
Not that guy. He's a good guy. He only wants what's good for people.
yeah. Well, it's remarkable, And I don't know. Maybe God gives these guys long life. He's 90 years old now. Maybe
Yes.
he gives them long life because it's like, enjoy it while you got it, dude. Because when this is over, you're not going to like where you're going to end up at. So
You're gonna request air conditioning and it's not coming.
yeah, you're going to spend eternity in the smoking section, as I like to refer to it. But I want to kind of open the show. We've only got a couple minutes here before our first break, but I want to open the show with a short discussion here on the ruling by the Supreme Court today on the abortion situation down in Texas. The Supreme Court ruled or decided that the laws written down in Texas requiring abortion clinics to upgrade their standards, meaning doctors had to be registered or accepted in hospitals. I believe the procedures are supposed to be done in hospitals. And some of the other regulations that would involve abortion clinics putting out a little bit more money than they would normally have to. And the strategy, of course, was to kind of regulate them out of business, something the Democrats are good at doing.
Yeah,
and
they're all for that.
Yeah, so down in the Governor Abbott down there in Texas decided, hey, let's give them a taste of their own medicine. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of the baby killers, and everybody's touting this thing as some kind of monumental landmark decision for abortion rights.
A victory for the abortionists.
Yeah. So
it means a lot of babies are going to die.
Yeah. And so I want to talk about that a little bit because the argument that the left is presenting on this is so hypocritical. I mean, even if you're a liberal, unless you're just like Roseanne Barr or somebody like that, you can see the hypocrisy in the defense that the left offers on this kind of stuff. And we're going to talk about that. And then the politicizing of it also in terms of how it's now being thrown at Donald Trump. And, we're no big defenders of Donald Trump. But it's amazing how this is being used now as political fodder against him. And let's see if he's able to withstand it and avoid opening his big trap and saying something stupid again.
Let's hope so. I mean, what is Donald Trump doing? Is he going to open up an abortion clinic on his golf course?
But it'll be the biggest and the best.
Yes, it'll be huge.
Yeah, it'll be huge, and you'll love it so much, you'll thank him for it. You'll be so sick of abortions being done the right way, you just won't be able to deal with it. It's going to be the best ever.
Cut me a break.
Anyway, guys, we're going to run our first commercials here. When we come back, we'll get into today's festivities. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I am your host, along with Joe Hakos. Hey, let's get into this thing, because this, I got to hand it to the media. They're getting really, really good at majoring in the minors to such a degree that it just fascinates me. It fascinates me. And probably more so, not so much that they're good at what they do, but they really know how to pander to the audience that they're feeding. They really know how to write things in such a way that so many in the electorate that suffer from Gruber disease, the stupidity of the American voter,
yes,
that they'll just suck this stuff up. I've made several comments in the past about how many people that I see out on social media respond to articles simply by what the headline says. And a lot of times the headline is so completely misleading, it really has nothing to do with the content of the article. And such it is the case when it comes to the ruling on abortion here.
Yeah, this would have said puppies like milk. Supreme Court decides.
Yeah, Supreme Court decides.
Yes, and they would have been, oh, yeah, and got the same reaction.
Well, some of the headlines I saw on this, controversial or most controversial decision or landmark decision, that's the buzzword. That's the liberal doublespeak there. The landmark decision of the Supreme Court striking down the laws that were written down in Texas that required a more stringent regulation of abortion clinics. And the article that I'm looking at right here, the first one I'm looking at here, Politics, the Supreme Court strikes down Texas abortion clinic restrictions. Okay, now I'm just going to give you a couple lines on this so that you understand what I'm saying here, because I'll start out by saying this. This is not a landmark decision. This is not something that is going to change the course of the abortion issue here in the United States. It's not going to make it any more or any less legal. It's not going to do anything other than take away or overreach and stop, once again, states from being able to pass laws that they determine within their states need to be passed. It's another slap at state sovereignty.
Absolutely.
And that's really what happened here. The Supreme Court has once again stepped into the state's business and decided that they needed to overrule something that the states determined, which, by the way, is no different than several other states in the Union that have already passed similar laws but have not had to go up before the Supreme Court. This is one case. This is what happens. Some liberal down in some state it passes a law, doesn't like it, and they sue, and they end up working their way up through the courts, and they end up in front of the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court chooses to listen to or hear a case on something that constitutionally shouldn't even be in front of them.
Absolutely. And I like what Alito said in this. He said he objected to and dissented from the bench. He said, this is an abuse of our authority.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And,
no authority to strike down perfectly legal provisions.
Yeah, and it's all because, it's the old saying, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and you know what, I was thinking about that the other night. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. I used to be a mechanic. I was a line mechanic for Hube Line, working on production lines, pasteurizers for Ortega chilies, and the canning lines, the cans. When we had squeaky wheels, that meant there was something wrong with the wheel. Okay, normally, there was things needed lubrication, but when you had a squeaky wheel on a machine on the line, it usually meant the bearings in that wheel were worn out.
Yeah, it was going to die.
It's going to die. So you replace the wheel. You don't just dump more grease on it just so that you don't hear the noise. And that's really what liberalism is. It's the broken wheel that everybody just keeps dumping grease on it, hoping that eventually it will silence itself.
Shut up. It'll finally shut up.
But it doesn't work that way.
No, they never do.
So anyway, I'm going to read you the first couple of paragraphs of this article here so I can put this thing in context. It says that the Supreme Court on Monday struck down Texas abortion restrictions that have been widely duplicated in other states, a resounding win for abortion rights advocates in the court's most important consideration of the controversial issue in 25 years.
Ooh,
okay.
Holy cow.
So, now, if you were reading that and you were a dumbhead, like most liberals are, you would think, oh, this is major stuff. This is major stuff. And, of course, the liberals are out there playing it that way, are they not?
Oh, yes, absolutely. God, my goodness. Hey, what were the people in Texas doing to them poor women?
Yeah, I mean, the liberals are out there. This just proves that we're so right about everything, and we're just one step away from regulating God. That kind of thing.
Well, the Democratic platform, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, that's the end game. That's what they want. Justice Anthony M. Kennedy joined the court's liberals in the 5-3 decision. I don't know why they say
that makes it sound like he's not a liberal.
Right.
Okay.
Because they want to strike that. They want to make it look like there's some kind of balance there. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And Kennedy has sided with the liberals probably 80% of the time he's been on the bench. So it says Justice Anthony M. Kennedy joined the court's liberals in the 5-3 decision, which said Texas's arguments that the clinic restrictions were to protect women's health were cover for making it more difficult to obtain an abortion. Now, I will concede that the design and implementation of these laws was to make it more difficult for women to receive an abortion.
Yes, I will concede that too. I want to say one thing. Look at Texas arguments. That would have been in my day when I was in school. That would have been checked off as incorrect. Because that's how you do that there. Yeah. You don't put apostrophe S there. You put the apostrophe there.
Oh, yeah, I get that. I get you there because I do it all the time. When I cut and paste this stuff, one of the things I notice right away is all the spell check errors show up.
Yeah, and I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. Who wrote this thing? The Washington Post. These guys are getting paid for this.
Oh, yeah. These people are atrociously bad spellers and grammar. Some of their grammar, I just like, wow,
But to get more to your point, so they wanted to have more regulation on these clinics to things.
Now, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Were their intention to make it better or just harder to obtain an abortion? Who was? I mean, because what was the standard? They wanted to make required doctors to perform abortions at clinics to have admitted privileges at a nearby hospital, and said that the clinics must meet hospital-like standards of surgical centers. Well, this is a medical procedure, although it's trying to medically kill a baby. But still, I mean, my goodness, wouldn't you want it to be a safe, sterile environment?
Yeah, and this would be my first point about the hypocrisy of this thing. Let's remember what originated, how the legalizing abortion originated. What was the argument that was presented when abortion advocates went out and said, we have to make this legal? Well, the argument was women were going into back alleys and they were getting, less than good care. Hacks out there, people, they were hurting themselves using coat hangers and things like that. And the whole argument for abortion was that we have to make it healthier so that these women, while they're exercising their constitutional rights to kill their unborn children, that they would be able to protect their lives. So that's now the argument that is being presented today by the left is the same argument that was presented when abortion was initially legalized, and that is, if you require these clinics to operate under these strict standards of cleanliness and health care, then you're putting the women at risk, because what are they going to do? They're going to seek out abortion clinics that are in the dark alleys that we were talking about, the people that are not going to want to adhere to these regulations but will still perform abortions. So it's the very same argument. Now, the other side of the hypocritical argument here is liberals who love to regulate everything are against regulating something. Okay? And why is that? Well, it's simply because abortion is not about a woman's rights. It's about politicizing and pandering to a specific voting demographic. And that voting demographic are women who do not want to take the responsibility or do not have enough sense to practice birth control before they get themselves pregnant and then want to alleviate the problem.
Or, God forbid, abstinence.
Yeah, like I said, either refraining from unprotected sex or using proper proper methods.
Contraception, whatever. But, I don't want to pay for that. I want you to pay for that, Mr. Matthews.
Yeah, and apparently we are, to some degree, paying for this. So let's not forget the little twist in the Obamacare, the passing of Obamacare. Remember Bert Stepik, you guys, the guy that went to before Obama and said, I will not support this bill. He was the deciding vote. I won't support it if the government's going to put money in for abortions and contraception and everything else. Oh, don't worry about it, Bert. We got you covered, man. Not going to do it. He votes on it. It gets passed, and now he's gone into la-la land out there someplace. And, of course, now we're at the place where Obamacare is paying for contraception and abortions.
Yep.
Okay. So the hypocritical side of this thing is the very argument used to get abortion legalized is now being used to keep it from becoming a more regulated and safe environment for women to go get abortions.
That's because they say it's so unnecessary and so expensive or hard to satisfy that they force clinics to close.
Yeah, now let's look at that side of it. It's going to be more expensive. Wait a minute. It's going to be more expensive? What does that mean? Well, I guess what that means is that there's going to be less money funneling into Planned Parenthood to be distributed amongst abortion supporters in Congress.
Yeah, and so, they won't make as much. Their profit margin on selling body parts won't be as great.
Yeah, think about this. If you had to regulate, that's a good point. I didn't even think of that aspect of it, Joe.
Sorry. I'm sorry I thought of it, too, because it really disgusts me, actually.
Yeah, well, let's think about that. Wouldn't something like this be more of a deterrent for baby organ harvesting?
Oh, I think it would, since the doctor would have to have admitting capability into a local hospital, and they must meet the requirements met by medical boards for cleanliness and sanitary conditions, as well as procedure rooms and all the other stuff that comes under, health administration.
Right. So what we're talking about here is we're talking about the idea that leftists view abortion clinics as something that should be outside of restrictions and regulations, and therefore the very thing that they campaigned for to get abortion legalized is actually the very thing they're campaigning against to keep it legal. Yeah, and then keep it not only legal, but to keep it profitable and be able to keep it out of the eyesight of the general public.
Yes, the prying eyes of the general public and or people that oversee accreditation of medical facilities.
Right, like the AMA or somebody like that. And so here's the deal, guys.
JCO, Joint Accreditation Health Organization, those kind of people that come in and make sure you're keeping the paperwork and you're doing whatever you need to do, all the good stuff that you're required to do every, 5 to 7 years.
Right. Okay. So there it is, folks. You people that think Hillary Clinton's out there just promoting the rights of women. The rights of women.
I'm not done with this, though. I'm not done with this yet, John. I know we're coming up towards the bottom of the hour, but there's still more that has to be said about this, because this is just sickening.
Oh, it is. There's a lot to be said about this. We may not get it in the next segment here. We've got Bob Cadersa coming on. I want to get onto the Brexit thing with him, but we'll come back and revisit this, because it's just not the hypocrisy of this. It's the entire smoke and mirrors. It's the illusion of what the abortion rights fight has been reported to be all about. It's not about the health and safety of women who want to exercise their constitutional rights to kill their unborn children. This is about strictly creating a demographic and funding this demographic through whatever means in order to further fund campaigns of congressional people and people that are involved in this kind of thing. This is another cash cow. This is another liberal conduit for control and power to govern the stupid. to govern the stupid. That's really what it's about. We got to go to break. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds, and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got. Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest. Who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contest and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame he owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get to Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474, 866-657-8474.
All right, hey, we're back, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we want to bring in, see if we can get Bob Cardoso over there at Robert Cardoso Live. I know he's probably sitting there patiently waiting for us to call in, as he always is. We're going to add him to the call right now. He's doing his show right now. He does live just like we do. And let's see if we can get him. Hey, there you are, Bob. How you doing?
I am back. You know what? John, I know you're doing the same thing I'm doing. You're sitting over there filling time. I'm sitting over here filling time. You're thinking I'm going to call you. I'm thinking you're going to call me, and I think you were probably getting ready to give up, just as I did give up.
Oh no, actually, we just have to wait for our commercials to run out before I call. I'll always call you. I'll always call.
Okay. Now that we got that straightened, how you guys doing after the weekend?
Oh, it was an exciting weekend listening to all the doom and gloom forecasts regarding Brexit and, of course, all the other things that are going on. Donald Trump's 2-day trip to Scotland seems to be the end of the world in some people's minds. So, yeah, it was an exciting weekend.
Well, you know what? The doom and gloom for Great Britain and the European Union, I'm still pretty firm on the way I discussed that on Friday. As far as Donald Trump is concerned, you know what? The guy was doing what he was supposed to do. He was over there on business. He was there to promote his new property. He was there supporting his kids. You know, I don't get what's going on. You know, it's sort of like Hillary wants to hit all of us people because we don't have a brain in our head to realize that he can actually still be doing business. He's not president yet.
Yeah, well, he's not president yet. He can be doing what he wants. And that doesn't seem to have stopped Hillary Clinton from collecting money through the Clinton Foundation either. So
That's right. And matter of fact, when we say money, we're talking about millions of dollars.
Yeah. So, but I wanted to shift over to some of the responses coming out of the elitists, out of the global elitists.
Okay.
George Soros and Alan Greenspan in particular here, because one of the things I found this morning, and I was searching through all the stuff that was out there. We know last week we talked about this. Soros was predicting the end of the European Union, the global economy, everything else. Mm-hmm. Reports out of the Business Insider today say that he made quite a haul on this exit from the European Union, just like he did back in 1992 when he bet against the pound.
Yeah.
So this is one of those cases, the one thing Soros is famous for, to those who pay attention to him, is this guy plays both ends. He supports both sides, dump money into both sides, and always ends up walking away a winner.
Well, he's not. There's really no percentage in losing.
I'm sorry?
There's no percentage in losing.
No, there isn't. But it's amazing to me that here he is, one of the greatest globalist proponents out there, actually making money off of something that he says is not good for the people that are involved in it.
Well, you know what? It's interesting. If we look at it a little differently, and I think I feel the same way you do. But if you look at it a little bit differently, and that is we can know that something is not good. We can kind of know that a certain thing is going to happen as a result of actions that appear to like they're going to take place. But does that mean that we shouldn't take advantage of it and come out ahead of it?
Oh, no, it doesn't. But then, you would think that argument would apply across the board.
Yeah.
When you see when you have people out there on the left talking about how Donald Trump took advantage of the subprime meltdown and made so much money off of it, and that's evil. But somebody like George Soros can bet against the European Union, and I bet you he's getting congratulation calls from people like Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton going, "Oh, you called that one right."
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? It's just so ridiculous and so it just upsets me that people don't recognize that one of the signs of a good businessman is that he recognizes what's going on. He shouldn't have to apologize for something he didn't cause that made him money.
Oh yeah, and again, I put this strictly in the Clinton camp.
Yeah.
There's people that are probably at this point in time pretty close to being billionaires. And they've made all this money while in government service, quote unquote, and yet they're still out there lambasting people that have had to actually build businesses and make payroll and go through bankruptcies and reorganizations and everything else. And all they have to do is show up, make a speech, get $500,000 or $1 million, and walk away.
Yeah. You know, the interesting thing here is that they'll castigate Donald Trump for hiring his kids, who are very well educated, very successful in business on their own rights, and they're well paid, right? And they're going to be looked at under a microscope for that. But anybody ever ask how it is that Chelsea Clinton is able to make a living and travel back across the two coasts and visit with her mom and dad and be on the campaign trail and do all these things? Nobody ever asks that question.
Yeah, nobody asks about her husband, by the way, who happens to be a hedge fund manager.
Yeah, and you know what, and how they get paid, and and they never ask about, well, gee whiz, how many boards are Hillary and Bill Clinton on that they get paid for, only not because they do anything and not because they really sit on the board, because their name is attached to it, right? And nobody's talking about those things.
No, and what I wanted to float at you. Here, I'm looking at this article. I think I sent you the articles here. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at the first one here. The UK's departure makes EU disintegration practically irreversible. This is a statement made by George Soros. I got this out of the CNBC reported this, okay? Now, there's a paragraph in here. He says, noting that Scotland is agitating to leave the UK. Soros said the country itself may not survive. I assume he's referring to either the UK or I think he's referring to Scotland.
Yeah, he is.
The decision to leave Europe. No, it have to be. He must be talking about the UK. Anyway, he says here, the consequences for the real economy will be comparable only to the financial crisis of 2007-2008. Now, they're adding that a domino effect could potentially end decades of continental unification. Now, let's just take that one statement there. 2007, 2008, the recession hit due to subprime lending meltdown. Okay, that was the instigator. It wasn't anything else that was going on in the economy. This is what this recession that we had is different from any other recession we've had, because it was actually created by the very institutions, and in some degree, the institutions that were supposed to be regulating and guarding against this kind of thing. It was manufactured. I believe it was intentionally manufactured to bring about an implosion of the economy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why they called it subprime. In one of the things that they didn't touch on, or at least I don't think they touched on, the headquarters for all of those and all the statistics and all the administration for all the subprime stuff was actually done in England. It was done in London. It wasn't done in the United States. It was, it was done in London.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Now, my point being is the next article here, it says here, or the next paragraph, Soros, a polarizing figure who is known for financing left-wing causes, is an enthusiastic backer of European integration. In 1992, he dealt a fatal blow to Britain's participation in Europe's exchange rate mechanism, the precursor to the single currency. The billionaire also appears to be profiting from the turmoil stemming from the UK's vote. So he was instrumental in bringing about the problem that was created back in 2000, 2007, 2008, and is once again making money off of this. My question to you is it possible that people like George Soros and Alan Greenspan, who we're going to talk about after the break here, are actually instrumental in bringing about these crises?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. You want to take a break before we get into this, or you want to get into it?
Yeah, let's take a break here, and then we'll get back with Bob here, and we'll talk about it. I want to know just how much of a hand these types of people have in actually creating and producing these crises that they blame on everybody else but themselves. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
All right, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I am your host, John Matthews, mad prophet of the airways, along with Joe, you can't handle the truth, Hakos, and we're going to get back here with Bob Cardosa and finish our conversation with him. We were talking with him about the actual manufacturing of these crises by people who are actually out there making a ton of money off these things and putting the blame on everybody else. I think that more than qualifies or defines what we talk about when we talk about establishment.
Yeah.
We are laying out for you what establishment really looks like.
Here, I want you to let's reiterate the one sentence you said out of this article about Soros. Wrote. Comparable. The only financial crisis, 2008. Wrote
right.
The billionaire, adding that a domino effect could potentially end decades of continental unification. Decades of continental unification. That's exactly what this vote was about. Was, hey, we don't want to be part of your continent. We want to be our own government. We don't want our own country. We want our own nation.
Well,
within your sandbox here on the continent, but we want to have our own stuff.
Well, the wording of that caught my eye too. Okay, we're back with Bob. Okay, Bob, the question before you, and this is something that I'm becoming just more and more attuned to, is that when we talk about these financial crises, these things are being manufactured by people that we would define as being establishment types. We're trying to put a face on the establishment. This is what it looks like. People like George Soros, Alan Greenspan, James Johnson from Freddie Mac, who helped manufacture the subprime lending meltdown that brought about the recession back in 2007. And these guys are basically out there creating these scenarios in which they make a lot of money off of and everybody else suffers. What's your take on that?
Well, you know what? First of all, let's go back to as far as Soros is concerned. The guy's a businessman and he's doing what he does. But let's talk about Alan Greenspan for a bit. For the longest time, he was the head of the Federal Reserve, and during his tenure as the head of the Federal Reserve, he had identified well in advance the bursting of this housing bubble and the subprime issues and the things that are going on. Now, I can't say for certain that he made a lot of money at it. I'd be surprised if he didn't. There's a guy, he's got a tremendous amount of knowledge and insight and power. He's 90 years old and he's still as sharp as a tack. Mm-hmm. And no question that if he wanted to get into any kind of a collusionary kind of thing during his tenure as the head of the Federal Reserve, he could have absolutely created this thing.
Well, see, the reason I bring this up is because the recovery, quote unquote, that we're talking about now is an illusion that has been created by the Federal Reserve not raising interest rates. And this is very, I think, similar to what happened during the subprime housing meltdown as it was taking place. Agencies that were supposed to be regulating and overseeing and controlling this kind of stuff weren't doing it. We know that the rating agencies were actually in cahoots now with the rating of these subprime bonds and everything else, because they were afraid of their competition being the one that everybody went to. So everybody was lying. The banks were lying. And even the Federal Reserve was
Well, here's
lying.
the interesting thing, John, because you brought up what I was kind of just waiting to bring up anyway, and that is that, the biggest banking clearinghouse and stock clearinghouse for all of Europe and the European Union is London. And one of the things that's going to happen with them removing themselves from the European Union, that's the Great Britain, is they're going to lose their banking privileges in the European Union. And even though all the banking and all the stock transactions and everything have to still go through London and be approved through London, the Great Britain will not have any banking privileges in the European Union.
Okay,
This can create as big a problem.
Hey, Bob, when that doesn't happen, Bob, I want you to buy me a cheeseburger.
Yeah, because see, I don't happen to think, I think there's certainly going to be an immediate effect. We're already seeing that.
Yeah.
But I don't see this as a lasting long-term thing. I think what the European Union might be the one that takes the brunt end of this thing, certainly. But I don't think Britain is going to end up falling off into the ocean over this.
Well, I don't think they're going to fall off into the ocean, but I'll tell you what, they're definitely going to go into a recession. They already have over 3.5 million people that want to revisit this referendum. They've already had a poll done that the majority of people who voted for being removed from the European Union didn't even know what the European Union, what the whole thing was all about. They were just protesting, didn't expect to have these kinds of problems. They didn't even start Googling what the European Union was, the 28 members, until after the election was done.
Well, I don't know that I would agree with that, because the entire anti-Brexit campaign revolved around the fact that if you guys do this, this is what's going to happen, and it didn't seem to be of any concern to most of the people that voted to get out of there. This is not
the people. It came down in a poll that was issued out today, and that poll indicated that the people that were Googling what the effect of leaving the European Union, they didn't even know what the hell the European Union was.
Well, now that I can agree to. That's probably true. They didn't know that was a confederation of collective ideology that was gearing towards New World Order. But then again, that was exactly the argument that most of the people that voted to get out of there put out there. We want control of our own government again. So I don't know that I can sit here and say, well, that we're looking at an ignorance factor.
Well, yeah, we are. We're looking at what we're looking at. We're looking at a group of protesters, millions of protesters that actually were protesting immigration, nothing else. It's just immigration. And there's still, if they want to get out of the European Union and have any banking relationship with the European Union, I'm talking about the UK, then one of the conditions that I can guarantee you is that they have to accept the immigration flow.
Okay, well, Joe, you had something to say.
Yeah, so Bob, these people that voted against him were just dumb.
Yes.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. Now that just puts you exactly where I thought you would be.
They were absolutely. You could call them dumb. You could call them ignorant. You can call them.
They didn't listen to the experts. All the experts knew, and now the experts are all freaked out because they didn't get listened to, and now they're squawking about not being listened to.
Even the experts didn't expect to win this thing.
Oh no, the experts thought they would win this thing, Bob.
Yeah, they did, Bob.
They were going to win.
I can tell you, I was over there, and one of the things I did wherever I went during the 2 weeks I was over there was I followed this thing. What was in the media, what was in the press, talking to people that lived there, and I can tell you that the ignorance factor that the media is trying to portray here is not that great. Now, there may be people collectively between the countries that make up the United Kingdom 3 million out of 4 nations that make up the United Kingdom. That's minuscule. That's like saying, okay, let's talk about the homosexual population in the United States. It's but the numbers are always blown up and made to be more than what they really are. And I think, sure, there's going to be people that are freaking out. But the general thrust of what was going on over there, and I can tell you, being on the ground over there, I made it a point to know what I was talking about when I was there and say, okay, what is the driving issue here? The driving issue is collective ideology has put us in a position where we no longer have a say about who comes into our country. We're watching our nationalities and our national heritage and who we are, our history being rewritten.
You're making my point, John. That's exactly what I said. They were protesting over the immigration issues that were going on.
Okay, but that doesn't
immigrants into the UK, and that's why they were protesting. They voted this other thing in, not realizing the ramifications on an economic basis.
Okay, but that does not equate into some kind of blanket ignorance as to what's going on and what was going to happen. Yeah, I'm sure that a lot of people didn't pay attention to. Oh yeah, maybe the pound's going to take a hit or the euro's going to take a hit or whatever. But, had things continued the way that they're continuing, and we're seeing it in this country, if immigration is becoming the central issue of everything that's going on, eventually that destroys the economy in and of itself.
Absolutely. And if Donald Trump wins the White House, it's going to be because of his stance on immigration in the good old boy network that he wants to get rid of.
Okay,
that's the only way.
So it's a catch-22. And what I get out of this is that people in the UK just said, better now than later. Let's stop the bleeding now. Let's not wait till we have to do amputations.
Well, yeah, but I don't think that they had that kind of forethought. I honestly think that they were. I really believe, from what I've read, that they were protesting the immigration flow.
I
didn't give any consideration to the economic ramifications of leaving the European Union, and the fact that 44% of their gross national product depends on it. I don't think they gave any thought to that at all until they went to the bank and found out that their pound was worth 35% less.
And I actually believe that that's a point in their favor, that they chose nationalities and their heritage and their history and their identity over the dollar or over the pound or over the euro. That somewhere there was something instinctively that kicked in and said, wait a minute, we're losing who we are, and the economy is not the number one thing that we have to worry about right now. I think that should be a feather in their cap.
Yeah, see, I just don't. I can agree with some of what you're saying. I just don't think that they gave that kind of thought to it.
Yeah, I just don't see this. I really don't see this as a long-term thing. It might hit them for a couple of years here, and plus we got 3 years before this is even going to come down the pipe here. And then, like I said, the globalists are already working at how they can get rid of this thing. You're talking about the referendum. They're talking about trying to talk Parliament, not to.
Well, the truth is, unless Parliament ratifies that thing, nothing changes. The fact that the referendum was passed doesn't mean that Great Britain is out of the European Union. Parliament has got to do something about it before that happens.
Yeah. So anyway, my friend, we're out of time here. Good segment today. Good segment. Let people know how they can find you.
All right, you know what? Robert Crow's a live broadcast Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. You can get my app. You just go to my website, or you can go to GooglePlay.com if you have an Apple, if you've got a Windows or a Android product. Go to the Apple Store if you've got a Windows product. Search for Robert Cardoza Live. The app is right there. It's absolutely free. Download it. That way you can listen to my archive shows. If you happen to be a listener of John Matthews and Joe Hakos, right after their show is over, or when or you can listen to my show worldwide anytime you want. And if we're live, you can actually chat with us. Hey guys, thank you so much. I look forward to talking to you on Friday.
All right, you take care, my friend. Take care. Okay, guys, it's time for the Edwards Notebook. We'll pay some bills. We'll be back for another hour of the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go.
Some people say that it's all over for America, while others, like me, believe the best is yet to come. What say you? Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, we all can recite the myriad of setbacks that currently beset our remarkable republic. The Obama administration has seriously damaged every major pillar of society. Stagnation dominates the economy, and bad morale permeates the military. Government school education is now worse than ever before, and that's just for starters. The giants of destruction of America seem to be everywhere, including the thousands of terrorists roaming our streets, looking to kill, steal, and destroy. But you know what?
The bigger the giants are, the harder they fall. The Bible says the power of life and death are in the tongue. In ancient Israel, 10 men were sent out to spy out the land to report on the odds of the children of Israel taking the promised land for themselves. 8 said it's impossible, but 2 said we can take the giants and the land. America, the choice is ours, to either fold up in defeat or stand and believe that it's not over for our republic. Yes, we as a nation have stumbled, but I believe we the people, through providential guidance, will soon reignite the torch of liberty and fulfill our God-ordained manifest destiny of greatness. I'm Ron Edwards.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment, and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet.
Vying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Hey, we're back. Hour 2 right here at the Conservative Syndicate. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. You know, I hope you enjoyed that exchange here just before the hour with Bob Cardosa. I have to say, though, I'd have to think, I think Bob is as wrong as the day is long on this. But, that's the one good thing about our show. We don't mind people having views different than ours. Okay,
yeah, he's got the right to be wrong.
That's the cliche. That's the brand of this show. You have the right to be wrong, and we're not going to necessarily. If you have the guts to come on this show and talk about it, even if you're wrong, we're not going to condemn you. All right, we may make fun of you, but we're not going to condemn you.
Bob's a good guy at heart, so we know what Bob is, and so we still love him for it, but he can be wrong. I've been wrong before, but that's okay.
Yeah. Well, it remains to be seen. I mean, really, all of us right now are just taking it, a gander at what's going on here and just speculating as to, how this is going to, make its way down the pipe here. I don't know.
Let's go with some things that are some facts here, though. And one of the facts was, as part of this, and it's all you hear now, the people that were said to leave the EU were nothing but xenophobic Cro-Magnon Neanderthals. And it's like, okay, fine. They were dumb and ignorant, stupid, and they're afraid of foreigners. Okay, but here's what did it for them. And this is one of the nails that was goes into Cameron's coffin, so to speak. And one of the reasons why he said he's had enough and he's resigning, and he's going to be out of there in October. Okay. Even before we have a new quote-unquote leader, big air quotes here. Okay, so one of the things was the immigration. And let's put it in terms that our people can understand. Barack Obama and Fidel Castro get together, and Barack says, "All right, Fidel, you put 300,000 people into Miami last year. I can't let you do this anymore." And Barack goes out to the American people. There's only going to be 100,000 brought in next year. All right, and then Fidel says, "Oh no, there's going to be 300. The deal's the deal." And that's what Jean-Claude Juncker did to Cameron. He basically said no. Cameron said, "I only, the people are clamoring. There's too many immigrants coming here." And so Juncker said, "I don't care. The deal's the deal. Out is out. And you guys got what you got." And they weren't going to do it. So in other words, you had somebody who didn't have your country's best interest telling you where to stick it. We're sending people over into your country. Too bad. Get over it. Well, they did get over it, and now they're out.
Yeah, and see, this to me is the underlying thing here. And this is what I think so many people don't get, is that when things like this come down the pipe, and you see an uprising of this kind, for reasons contrary to what the experts, what the pundits, what the leaders of the other countries think and believe is going to happen, they're seeing their views through their own rose-colored glasses. They're sitting there thinking, okay, this is what we want, and so therefore it becomes kind of like the narrative. This is what we want. So everything that they offer defends that narrative or justifies the narrative or endorses the narrative or even strengthens the narrative to some degree. So, we're sitting here listening. One thing I vehemently disagreed that Bob was talking about is this idea that the people in the UK had no idea how this was going to affect them economically.
No way. And economically, in fact, I wish I had about $10,000 or $20,000 spare change laying around, because I would be buying up British stocks and whatever. I'm buying it right now because it's only going to go up.
Yeah, it is going to go up. And right now, it's dying right now. So what? What do? If you have stock, you don't sell it. You hang on to it, because when it recovers, I sold stock for years. I know what happens here. Yeah, okay, there's an adjustment. Okay, there's a drop in the value. And right now your shares aren't worth as much as they were last Monday. That doesn't mean anything, because every time the market recovers, it recovers to a greater degree than what it did before it dropped. So the idea here, I'm like Joe. If I had some money laying around I could do right, I'd be out buying everything I can get my hands on that relates to the British economy.
Yep.
Because this thing it will recover, because people that make their money doing this stuff know how to do what they're doing. And look at Soros as a perfect example of what we're talking about. He had prepared for either outcome. That's what investors do.
And he's not leaving Britain. He's not leaving there. He's going to stay invested there.
Yeah, because they know, okay, at some point in time, maybe you manipulate your portfolio a little bit, okay? Maybe you do sell some off, but you buy. In fact, I remember him saying last week, we were talking about him last week, talking about the gloom and doom, and there was somewhere in the article, I remember the little quote there that he was saying, now's the time to buy.
Yeah. I just want to know if Bob knows that I'm going to want bacon on my cheeseburger he owes me.
Make sure it's one of those really expensive ones. Like we have a hamburger place out here called Five Guys.
Yeah, Five Guys. They have them here.
Okay, well, those things are like $20 a hamburger or something. I mean, they're just outrageously priced. So you want to make sure you get the most expensive one.
Yeah, well, he's going to owe me.
In fact, I want to see the cow from which the beef comes. All right, that kind of thing. So this whole idea of playing to the now maybe there were people that didn't know what was going on. I mean, we look at what we got in our country right now. How many people are just like diehard Trump supporters come hell or high water, and they don't really know what's coming down the pipe with this man, what he's going to do or what he won't do when he gets in office. They completely disregard the fact that he has no conservative credentials whatsoever. But he just says, okay, I'm a conservative. And everybody goes, oh, yeah, okay. How many people are supporting Hillary Clinton? But you ask them, give me something that she's done. Give me one bill that she's authored. Give me one thing that she had her hands on that turned out to be anything worthwhile. And they can't give you anything. But she's still the girl. She's still the one. She's the one because she's either a woman or she's been around so long or whatever the reasons are. So, yeah, there is an ignorance factor to a small degree to some people. But I think what this vote showed, if it showed nothing else, is that people have an inherent gut check when something isn't right.
Yeah.
And they'll respond to that. People, you feel it. You feel the vibes. What do you think Trump is where he is right now? People, but they may not know what. They may not know all the facts, all the situations, circumstances, what brought it all about. But they do know this. Something ain't right.
Yeah, it's not right. And if you know what? The economy was so great and so wonderful, and the Brits are killing the economy. Maybe that economy isn't so good after all.
Yeah,
and if this global world economy that Obama and Hillary Clinton just tout mightily, maybe it just isn't that good after all.
Yeah, and if the economy is so great, why do we have Hillary Clinton talking to us about how she's going to fix it?
Yeah, exactly my point.
Okay, guys, we're at a short break here. It's time for Moments of Madness. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. Today on Moments of Madness. Globalist elites and the media lapdogs that shore up their ranks woke up this past Friday morning and in more than a few cases surprisingly found themselves forced to deal with immediate as well as possible long-term damage to their reputations and bank accounts ravaged by the electoral storm named Brexit that hit Europe the night before. While a few proponents of the New World Order downplayed to the public the UK's exit from the EU as nothing more than a tremor brought about by a disgruntled workforce not feeling the utopian aura wealth redistribution promises but never delivers, there is much to indicate the UK's decision is the beginning of the perfect storm, one that may actually generate an ideological tsunami that could reshape the geopolitical landscape to a degree not felt since the fall of the Berlin Wall and the Soviet Union. This tsunami could possibly not only reach the shores of their neighboring European counterparts, but around the globe as far as North America, Asia, and even below the equator. The bloc that makes up the United Kingdom, Britain, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, while divided nationally with Scotland and Northern Ireland favoring to remain in the EU, while Britain and Wales choosing to leave, together ended up posting a 52% majority that rejected the paradigm of globalism as an effective and preferred form of government. This indictment of collective ideologies that feed the egos and ledgers of power-hungry elitists becomes even more damning when we view the outcome was achieved in spite of massive campaign spending by EU members, trade threats rendered by world leaders like Barack Obama, and prophecies of financial doom by billionaire hedge fund managers like George Soros and Warren Buffett. The stability of the sterling pound appears not to have been the concern of the British people, but rather an instinctive understanding their very existence as a nation and people is at risk of being decimated by uncontrolled immigration. It's as if they are channeling the spirit of another rebel, that being Benjamin Franklin, who warned over 240 years ago, "They who can give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safe deserve neither liberty nor safety." Rather than cave to the fear-mongering that has for too long been effective in keeping the masses in line, the common theme we can take from this is enough is enough. Throw the bums out. Here's the madness. Like the graffiti etched into the clay walls of imploding Rome or painted on the Berlin Wall in plain sight for all to see. Ideological collectivism touted in any form, regardless of perceptions of good intent conveyed by its proponents and planners, will only be tolerated by those subjected to it until such time as it can be obliterated by the very people it enslaves. Yet those who hold dogmatically to various hybrids of communism continue to perpetuate the deception that to surrender one's individuality and the rights inherent to such stature in favor of joining the ranks of true believers is the only true means by which universal peace and socio-economic order can be sustained, in spite of all historical evidence to the contrary. Is it willful ignorance of the obvious, or an undeterred determination to do what's right? I think not. It's because deception serves as a means to an end, their end. And while it may be true to some degree, those who join the ranks of true believers may obtain a little temporary safety and security, as Franklin once quipped, natural law mandates they eventually rejoin the ranks of the disgruntled and disenfranchised to once again roam the decrepit streets ravaged by collective barbarism, with little choice but to tag graffiti on the decaying walls of the stores they loot. And the storm begins another cycle. Such it is right now across America. We, the benefactors of the great experiment of republicanism, face our own storm. This storm, not unlike the one that hit Europe this past week, threatens our very existence as a republic, a nation, and a people should we not take the necessary steps to prepare for it. For if we continue to listen to the words that form the empty promises elicited by both sides of our political establishments, should we continue to believe things will take care of themselves, should we continue to pray to our God for deliverance in spite of our rejection of Him, then we may find ourselves lamenting another great statement from Benjamin Franklin. You have a republic if you can keep it. This storm may be the last opportunity for us, perhaps forever. This is John Matthews for Moments of Madness. All right, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And I want to revisit what we were talking about in the first hour, because we didn't sew this whole thing up here on the Supreme Court situation here. The Supreme Court shutting down the laws or the legislation that was passed down in Texas that required abortion clinics to up their standards, become more health conscious, be able to perhaps in some ways validate and document their activities by using doctors that are hospital approved and hospital facilities and that sort of thing. And it was shut down by the Supreme Court. And it's being lauded as some kind of landmark, colossal big deal for pro-abortionists because they haven't had anything to praise, to rant about or rave about in the past 10 years or so. And, of course, abortion is going to be one of the main central things here that Hillary Clinton is going to tout, while I believe Donald Trump is probably going to try to avoid that with as much fervor as he can, because his past regarding the abortion issue is less than checkered, or more than checkered. More than checkered. He's really done some. If there's one issue that he's probably flip-flopped the most on, it would be abortion. And that's what I wanted to revisit here. It's this idea that not only is this being politicized as some kind of, a big score for liberals and pro-abortion activists and everything else, the rights of women, all that other propaganda that's being put out there, but also it's also being used to politicize who Donald Trump is, just because of the fact that he has flipped his position on this more than once. Back before he decided he was a conservative, There's several. I mean, the media has done a good job when they really want to. They can do a good job when they really want to, is digging up past statements and interviews and things like that, in which he basically said, yeah, I'm pro-abortion. I believe, it's all right for a woman to do this kind of thing. But, now he's trying to walk it the other way. Even an interview that he did with Jake Tapper, he kind of screwed it up. Tapper asked him, about a few social issues. I want to talk to you about a few social issues because they haven't been issues you have been talking about for several years. And I know you're opposed to abortion. And Trump's response was, right, I'm pro-choice. And Tapper said, you're pro-choice or pro-life? See, he didn't even know what he was. He didn't know the terminology for it.
Exactly. Why don't you just say it real simple? Do you want to kill babies or not?
Yeah. Are you a supporter of abortion or not? Okay. But see, this in and of itself is a lesson here. This is how the liberals do these things.
Oh yes.
You take a word like abortion, instead of saying, "Are you pro-abortion or anti-abortion?" you say, "Are you pro-life or
choice?"
Pro-choice. So
Yeah.
you take the word that actually solidifies what the belief actually is, and you point at something else. For instance, many consider people in ISIS to be dissidents or insurgents, and the real extreme supporters of ISIS would say they're freedom fighters. Okay.
The right to be free to chop off gay and lesbian heads.
Yeah. Not jihadists, not Islamic radicals, not anything that really identifies them for what they are. We got to have that political correctness to it so that we don't offend anybody, that kind of thing. But in the case of abortion or homosexuality, for instance, one thing if you listen to the show at all. Over a length of time, you'll notice I very seldom use the word gay.
Yep.
Okay, because to me there are no gays. Okay, the gayest thing I could think of is Fred Astaire in the movie he made called The Gay Divorcee. Okay, but a gay didn't mean gay like that in those days.
Yeah, it doesn't mean the same thing.
It didn't mean the same thing. Okay, don we now our gay apparel? No, that that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like they did in New York yesterday.
Yeah, and dedicating it to the Orlando shooting, okay?
Yeah.
Now, I don't use the word gay. I use the word homosexual because that's what it is, okay? This is the homosexual activist movement. This is the homosexual agenda or the homosexual activist agenda because, truth be told, the vast majority of people in this country that claim to be homosexuals or hide from the public that they're homosexuals don't really want it out in the public square. They really don't. What you've got is, as we talked about earlier, the squeaky wheel. You've got the small minority out there in an already small minority. We're only talking about 1% of the population, my friends. Okay, 1% of the population, as far as they know, adhere to or claim the homosexual lifestyle. Okay, but when you've got 30,000 of them out there dressed in pink, running around waving flags, going down the main street of an avenue somewhere in some metropolitan city.
It was down Fifth Avenue yesterday.
Yeah.
We should ask Audrey when we have her on how that was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we will. She'll be on tomorrow. Audrey will be on tomorrow. We'll have to make a point to ask her about that. Don't ever forget that.
Yeah.
Okay? But they're out there doing their thing. And they're out there waving their flags and everything else. And you would think by watching it or listening to the reports of it, that this is some massive movement by the majority. And they even say that. Oh, the majority of Americans support this stuff. No, they don't. A majority of Americans, when you ask them about homosexuality, they go, whatever. Okay? But that doesn't mean you support something just because you have no opinion of it. It's like, yeah, maybe by complicity we can say, yeah, you're endorsing it or condoning it. But you're not going to get a majority of Americans going, yes, I completely support the concept of homosexuality.
Yeah, sure. Come over to my house and do that.
Yeah. Teach my kids all about it in school. By the way, let your transgender, your genderqueer son come into the bathroom with my daughter. Sure, no problem at all. No, that isn't happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
As the lady at the ACLU in Georgia did.
So my point here is that with I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
This is like the lady at the ACLU in Georgia did.
Yeah.
yeah. Story doesn't work until you hit my house.
All right. So my point is that they're trying to use this now. Everything is going to be somehow twisted and thrown at Trump. The Brexit vote. One thing Trump really needs to do, if he's going to have any hope of transforming himself into some type of candidate that can overcome some of the obstacles that he's facing right now, he's going to have to learn to take the time to think before he talks. Just to come out, I don't know what it is about politicians, it must be ego, that when you ask them about something, they seem to want to let you think that they know everything about whatever's going on. Barack Obama does it all the time. Obama does it all the time. He opens his mouth and says something, and, of course, the media doesn't give it the airplay when it's stupid. I've traveled all 57 states, that kind of stuff. But when somebody like Trump says something like, oh, yeah, great, it's great that Scotland voted to get out of the UK or out of the EU. And we find out that Scotland, the majority of people there, 62% of the people in Scotland, didn't want to leave the European Union.
Well, you know my thought on that, John.
I'm sorry?
You know my thought on that. They had a choice 2 years ago in 2014 to leave.
Yeah.
And I'm more than happy. Go ahead and have another referendum on it and do what you need to do there, Scotland. But I'd like to equate it to our people. We have Puerto Rico, who is demanding that the Senate act on a bill that the House passed to bail them out of their little monetary crisis. The same monetary crisis, by the way, that California, New York, New Jersey, and Illinois are going to have soon. But still, it's the same monetary crisis, and yet, and they're going to depend on the American taxpayer. Oh, those are Americans in Puerto Rico. Okay, you know what? They've had plenty of opportunity to stand up and become the 51st state. Get on the stick and do it. Otherwise, enough of this already.
Yeah, you want the benefits without the responsibility. You want us to take care of you, but you don't really want to be part of us.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, hello, fine.
Well, I look at it. Here's one even closer to home. I'm glad you brought that up. Here's closer to home.
Okay.
The Philippines. Okay, the Philippines at one time was considered an American territory.
That's correct.
Okay, so Marcos leaves office, has to run for his life.
Yes.
And what happens is they bring in the liberals, the progressives, the Aquinos, the Estradas, the Ramos, all these people. And what do these people do? We want America out of here.
Okay, see ya.
Because with the belief was having an American military over there in the Philippines, or the way it was played politically was we were oppressors.
Yeah, Subic Bay was such an oppressive place.
Yeah.
Well, same thing is going on in Japan right now.
Yeah, and the thing in the Philippines was, the argument from the liberals. Well, Aquino is the stalwart of the liberal party over there, and was that all you're doing is you're perverting our daughters over here. It's like we forced them to become prostitutes. Okay, most of them became prostitutes. Why? Because the economy was such that they couldn't get work.
Yeah, they were making money at it. That's why.
Yeah, they did it to support their families. Okay, so what happens is the Philippines decides, okay, we don't want you here at Subic anymore. Okay, we vacate Subic, and what happens? Well, now they're in this major Cold War with China, and what are they doing? They're coming to the United States for help. We need help. China's invading their waters, coming in there, taking oil and fishing and everything else. And the Philippines say, hey, you can't do that. We have an agreement. China's going, screw you. What are you going to do about it?
Oh, exactly. Exactly. There's no big major U.S. presence there now. Ha-ha.
Yeah, so now what? Oh, we need help. We need help. Barack, we need help. We need support. Okay? Hey, in my opinion, you had your opportunity. You decided you wanted to. You had the answer. You were going to create utopia over there, the job market over there. In fact, Aquino, one of the things he tried to do just before he got out of office was he tried to ban Filipinos leaving the country to work overseas because there were too many people leaving. And he's like, no, you got to stay here. Yeah, well, let's all sit here and hold hands while we all starve to death.
Yeah, I remember seeing those folks in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
No, serious, I did. Unfortunately, they've had to hand over their passports and become indentured servants to some Saudi prince over there.
Yeah, well, it's not a good situation in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways it is. So my whole point is that this whole thing is going to be politicized to make it look like people like Trump are the problem.
Yeah.
The capitalists are the problem, and that's how they're going to play it. We got to go to a break.
There you go.
When we come back, we'll continue our discussion right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got. Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest. Who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame. He owed money to the IRS and they finally caught up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get to Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
All right, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. And I want to move on here. I want to try to tie together here what we were talking about just before the break. Because what I'm really talking about here is the concept of the left politicizing everything. Everything is politicized to paint, at this point, the target right now is, of course, Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Everything that he says and does is going to be under this microscope, this media microscope, that is going to, just what I guess the strategy is to pay less and less attention to what Hillary is saying and doing, or her record.
Well, we said that months ago, John, when it was clear that Trump was going to be the guy, that we said, wait, the media's not doing anything to Trump right now. They're tearing down all other kind of Republicans, but the minute Trump is the guy, the media is going to go after him. We said that months ago.
Yeah, and it's starting to build up with a fervor. And, of course, the trick here in the Trump camp, the trick is going to be rather difficult, because Trump wants to address everything on a personal level. He wants to take it and say, oh, they're coming after me. He's like, he tweeted the other day when everybody was talking about the Supreme Court ruling regarding abortion clinics, he's more concerned about the fact that CNN is not giving him a favorable view of things. I'm not watching CNN anymore. They don't like me. That kind of, who the hell cares? They didn't like you to begin with, Donald. When did you think they did?
Yeah. When he was not running for president, they liked him.
Oh, sure, because he supported the things that they believed in.
He's a ratings magnet, and these are ratings whores.
Yeah. Okay. So, grow up, Donald, and I hope somebody in his campaign looks at him and says, "Hey, Donald, quit taking everything so personally, for crying out loud. This is politics. This is the way it's going to go for the next 5 months. Get over it."
Yeah, exactly. Get over it now. Get over it yesterday.
Yeah, do what you were doing last week. Talk about what a corrupt person Hillary Clinton is. Talk about her past. Talk about her history.
We need to get back to that speech he made, because that's the speech that, if he follows that template, will lead him to a victory in November.
Right. And we'll do that. We are going to do that. I have not taken that off our docket this week. It's just some of these other things I think are just a little bit more pressing right now because of the politicizing of it. That's why I'm trying to get across. We're trying to educate on this show.
Oh, yeah. And in that speech, Hillary Clinton does exactly that. She politicizes everything.
Right. And so we're just trying to bring it all in a constructive, productive manner, so that you, our listeners, will understand and be able to better decipher and discern what's actually being said, so that you can better articulate it to those out there who right now are just roaming around like sheep, not paying attention to what's going on.
So anyway, though, so we will come back to it, but it's stuff that, hey, remember, we've talked about this before.
Right.
So kind of keep it in mind. So that way, none of this stuff is going to go away. And, you can hear about some things that we've talked about years ago, about some of the policies and procedures and things that Barack Obama put into place, that Hillary wants to go ahead and, hey, that was probably pretty good. Let's do that again. And meanwhile, it was found just to be god awful. I can't believe to hear people talking about the economy like it's some great thing right now. Like the economy's all great, and it's like, what did she say? It's so great that we have to fix it.
Yeah. So that the contradiction in terms and the contradictory statements coming out of Hillary's mouth. But see, most people they're not even really hearing what she's saying. That's the point. They don't even really hear what she's saying, and because everything is always prefaced with the buzzwords.
Well, yes, it's blah 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 Trump, blah 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 Republican, blah 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 Trump. It's kind of like that. It's like, oh, and it's like it's like training your little puppy dog.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I look at it more like the way it comes down is yada 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 yada, middle class, yada 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 yada. I'm for you, yada 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 yada.
I brought that up, John. That's great. That's absolutely fantastic, John. Because she did that today. I heard her say, "Hey, I am never going to tax the middle class ever. I'm going to tax businesses and the 1%ers."
Right.
And I'm going, okay, so you tax businesses, you've effectively taxed the middle class. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, so you're businesses like, I guess what she thinks is the businesses are like the piggy bank. We've got to take that money out of the piggy bank.
I don't know what she thinks about why you're going to go ahead and the economy's so great, but I'm going to tax businesses.
Right. I've noticed it. We're going to get back on those speeches because in her speech, all the contradictions are there.
Oh, yeah.
And in Trump's speech, everything he should be talking about is there. Okay,
but these things that you're talking about here, these are wonderful. These 3 of the 10 amendments that they wanted to go ahead and get rid of, these Democrat wonders.
Well, here's the deal. Like I said, when we talk about politicizing everything, what I mean by that is the liberals want you to think that the very things on which this country was established, our founding documents and the principles and all the things that surround and define what American exceptionalism is, the Democrats attack on a regular basis as being too restrictive, too unnecessary, too old, not keeping up with the times, that kind of stuff, because that's what progress wants us to believe. Things have to progress, things have to change, things have to quote unquote evolve, that kind of stuff. The words that they use. Why? Because the decline in morality in the country dictates or mandates that the borders and parameters by which morality is defined has to be removed or changed also, so that nobody feels bad about it. As I think I talked about in the show before, it's Patrick Moynihan's defining deviancy down.
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, people will accept evil to a degree when evil becomes so overwhelming that people can't deal with it or don't want to deal with it anymore, then you just lower the bar. And that's really what defining deviancy down means, is that you start accepting things that normally wouldn't be acceptable as being acceptable.
Oh, you mean as in like Nazi Germany?
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, this article I pulled out of Investor Business Daily because I thought this is the narrative that conservatives need to be out there talking about. This is what the Republican Party should be out there talking about, not whether Donald Trump should be elected or not.
Yeah.
Okay, it should be simply this. And it says here, I'm just going to read you the first paragraph here. Hillary Clinton and other leaders in her party always talk about how they want to grant new rights to Americans. All right? They want to grant new rights. As if that really, see, there's that in and of itself is a buzzword.
Yeah.
We want to grant new rights. Okay, well, the Constitution never defined, or the Declaration of Independence never defined what rights were, only that we have unalienable rights endowed to us by our Creator.
Which among these are...
Now, the new rights that they're talking about are really, it's a way of talking about what the federal government needs to be doing on our behalf. I think Barack Obama said one time that the purpose of the federal government is to do on your behalf things that you can't do on your behalf because of the Constitution. I'll have to look that phrase up, something like that. I remember him saying something along that line. And it's basically what he was saying was the federal government or the Constitution confines you from doing things that you normally should be able to do. That kind of thing. But only under the mandate or the guidance of the federal government can that be accomplished. Okay, I'm going to have to look that saying up. I remember a quote. It was one of those, actually should be etched into his across wherever it is they end up building his library. That should be. I'm going to find that out. I'm going to look that up. But anyway,
and that sentiment alone is unconstitutional. Article 4, Section 4.
Okay. Yeah. Now, what I'm talking about here is the idea that when you take things like privileges, or the idea of turning everything into an entitlement. That's the definition in the mind and the words of a liberal, is that entitlements, things that you are entitled to, becoming rights. You're entitled to the right to abort a baby. You're entitled to call your boyfriend your girlfriend if you want to.
Well, read the rest of that paragraph, John.
Okay, so he says here, they talk about the right to affordable health care, the right to a college education, the right to a livable wage. But at the same time, many of these same Democrats have been agitating to restrict or outright repeal existing rights enshrined in the Constitution's Bill of Rights. In just the past few months, the members of the Democratic Party have targeted the First, Second, and Fifth Amendments for attack. And here are the details, and we're going to give them to you right after we take our break here. The First, Second, and Fifth Amendment under attack by the very people that tell us that we're entitled to all the things that they say we should be entitled to. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate. Hey, we want to remind you, as we always do in this show, at some point in time or another, visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, and pick up the archive of this show, any shows that we have done, that we put out in the air. You can find out anything you want to know about our panel members, what we are, what we do, why we do what we do, and take the time to do that. Take the time to do that. Visit us at theconservativesyndicate.net. All right, let's get back into this. We were talking about how the Democrats, who are always out there telling us about all these rights that, well, I guess we were never aware that we actually have. and it's their job to
invest that and everything else in the world, but we're going to take these ones away from you.
Yeah, we have been, they're so concerned about our rights and our welfare that they've come up with all these things that happen in life that are supposed to be rights. Things that normally would be privileges or even choices. Abortion is a choice, it's not a right. Homosexuality is a choice, it's not a right. But they have deconstructed, redefined, and placed it someplace along in their narrative that gets trotted out every single day. And it's worn down many of the American people that are just tired of it. Okay, yeah, whatever. Do whatever you want. Just quit bugging me with it, I'm trying to make a living. I'm trying to take care of my kids here, trying to pay my mortgage, hoping to keep my job, that kind of stuff. Don't bother me with the trivials, just do whatever you want to do. And that has been construed or taken to mean that Americans approve of what they're doing.
Yeah. Okay, so we said the first, what was it? The First, Second, and Fifth Amendment. Okay, let's remember. Okay, I'm going to just read these right quick. The first two, anyway. Congress shall make no laws respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridge the freedom of speech or the press, or the right of the people to peacefully assemble and petition the government for redress of grievances.
Right.
That's the First Amendment.
Right. So what we have here is a situation here where we have the Democrats telling us basically free speech is something that every American has a right to, but needs to be monitored. Okay, it needs to be monitored because if in your free speech you happen to offend somebody else, in your free speech you happen to voice opposition to what the narrative is, or what the media is trying to portray as what the majority of Americans believe in or agree to. And as we said, we've already defined how that's defined, is that if you have no opinion or if you don't want to offer your opinion, then you must be going along with them. That's how they translate that. But the point being is that what they're saying is that we have come to a place in our society because of such division, because of such volatility, and in the interest of protecting everybody else's right to whatever it is they believe.
Yeah, to not be offended.
To not be offended by something that you say, and therefore, if you do say something, then you need to be monitored, you need to be ostracized, or in some cases, you need to be punished for what you're saying.
So next thing we should do is we should go out and burn books.
Right, and let's take it this way. I guess the most obvious would be the issue of Islamic radicalism.
Oh my goodness, that's so offensive.
Yeah, so if we go out there and we say, there's a bunch of people out here who want to cut off infidels' heads because they don't adhere to the Quran and they don't embrace Sharia law, and you come out and you say, well, maybe we shouldn't let these people come across our borders until we find out whether they're jihadists or not. You have committed a verbal crime. You have labeled everybody. You have labeled an entire people, an entire nation, as being murderers. Okay, and when in fact all you're saying is something along the line of, we need to make sure the people coming into the country are not the people that are out there cutting people's heads off.
Yeah, exactly. We just need to make sure they're not trying to kill us.
Right. So now you are the problem. Yeah. And so what happens is your voice and your opinion offends somebody else who, by the way, happens to feed the narrative of the people in power and control. So therefore you need to be silenced one way or another.
Yes. And, we gave you a safe space to go to. You should have went over there so you couldn't hear what we're saying here.
Right. Now I'm looking at an article here. Look at this. A poll by YouGov taken last May found that a majority of Democrats said they support government limits on what they consider to be hate speech.
Hate speech.
What they consider to be hate speech. Let me give you an example of what that looks like. Here over the weekend, here in California, up in Sacramento.
Yes, I heard about this.
Okay, white supremacists, a very small minority of people, by the way. I don't think there was more than 10 or 15 of them up there when they showed up. Had gone through the process, had been paid and granted the permit to hold a rally at the Sacramento Capitol.
Raj.
Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Did all the things by the rules. Went out and said, hey, and the people up in Sacramento, the people that issued them the permit, explained to the media, they told us what they were doing. They were not going to be doing anything against the law.
Nope.
They weren't going to be brandishing guns or anything else. They were going to hold a rally. They are American citizens like everybody else. They were granted a permit.
Yep.
And this happened just a few months ago down here in California. at a I believe it was at a no, it wasn't a Trump rally, but there was a down here in Santa Ana, I believe it was. The white supremacists were going to hold a rally, a protest. They were going to walk from one park to another, or something like that.
So they're in Sacramento, and they're holding a little protest.
They were confronted by a mob of people, well over 100, probably closer to 300 by the time the mob got there.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the video of it, and they cornered these people and beat the hell out of them. 7 of them were stabbed. They were confronted. They were beaten, bloodied, everything else. And here's what I saw in the video. You had almost every liberal demographic represented in this mob. I saw the brownies. Well, I call them the brownies. They're the Raza people. They dress in brown berets, right?
Yeah.
And they're carrying the Che Guevara flags and the Mexican flags. We had the gay community out there with their rainbow flags. And you had the socialists out there, the Bernie Sanders people. You had the Socialist Workers Union. You had all these people. And in mass, each demographic represented accosted and assaulted these people who happen to believe that in white supremacism. So their right to express their views needed to be curtailed because, quote unquote, it's hate speech. But yet everything I was hearing being hurled at these people, I would have considered hate speech also.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, but it wasn't hate speech because they were doing it. Okay, it was hate speech that the white supremacists showed up, but everything that they were doing, including physical assault, was justified. One side has the First Amendment rights, one side doesn't. Or all the other sides, we have the right to beat the hell out of these people and say what we want to say and hurl our epithets and everything else, but these people don't have a right to say anything. And they were not doing anything that I would say was other than just expressing views that we don't agree with.
Yeah, exactly. It's one thing for people like that to do it. It's a whole nother thing when the government does it, though.
Yeah, and the government out here in California, our probably next senator, Camelia Harris, who right now serves as the Attorney General in California, is trying to get legislation passed that targets and punishes people that deny climate change.
Oh, the Democratic Party is going to put that on their platform.
Exactly. That's one of the things, and that's the point I want to leave. I want to leave you with this thought because we'll talk about this a little bit more tomorrow.
Okay.
This is the idea. What we're talking about here are the three major planks of the Democratic platform that we're going to see when they get together. It's going to be a plank against the First Amendment. It's going to be planks against the Second Amendment. It's going to be planks against the Fifth Amendment. That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about the removal or the suppression of constitutional rights when they don't line up with the narrative and the beliefs of the ideological idiots that are out there right now on the verge of running this country.
Yeah, okay.
All right? On the verge of running this country, my friends, that's what you need to pay attention to. So, having said that, we're gonna button up the show. Any parting shots here, Joe, before we sign off?
I would say just bone up on your Constitution. It's only, the First, Second, and Fifth Amendment. I mean, it's not that hard. It's not that difficult.
Right. By the way, I have landed a contact here. I'm going to be talking to him this week that we may have come on the show on a regular basis. Is a constitutional professor out here in California. Very good friends with Chris Ann Hall, by the way, but more accessible. So we're going to see if we can get him on the show here as a contributor. So we'll be back tomorrow, guys. We're going to talk a little bit more about this and all the other stuff that's out there that's going on right now. It can change at any moment, but we are also, before this week's over, we're going to get back to the speeches of Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump so that you get an idea what's going on. In the meantime, visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, and just remember that we love y'all. We love y'all. We thank you for your loyalty and taking the time to listen to us. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hako, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.